Good morning, folks. It's December 2020. I'm back on Truman Lake. I'm going to do another video in my Best of Truman Lake series. And I have with me today one of the very best on this lake, Matthew Rogers. Good morning, Matthew.
Good morning, Mike. I don't know about the best, but...
Well, I'm going to tell you, the guy's amazing. There are those few people out there I refer to as fish whisperers, and Matthew is certainly that. He knows fish behavior, and he knows how to catch fish, and he's agreed to come along today. I'm very excited to have him with us. And in fact, he's won a lot of big tournaments crappie fishing, and won a national championship on this lake.
Yep, I won it here in 2018. The following year, I got second in Grenada. I've done well here on Truman, though. It's my favorite lake to fish. We have several big fish in it, and just a lot of fish.
Now, would you say this is your home lake? You live over near Stockton,
I live
don't
real close to Stockton. I fish Stockton a lot. This time of the year is usually when I fish a lot on Stockton, and especially prior to Live Scope, because these suckers here, you know, they'd kind of suspend and you'd have to spider rig, and my favorite technique's, you know, one pole, so
right.
I would fish primarily Stockton through the later winter months, but now with Live Scope, I mean, you can go fish just about any lake in the country anytime.
Yeah, and don't let him fool you. He's not only good on this lake, he's good on any lake he goes to. He's fished tournaments all over the country, and he can figure them out. I assume we're going to be one poling today?
Oh, for sure. We'll be one poling, and you never know. We might see the fish might be acting a different way and have to pitch to them, and
right.
Probably have a couple different techniques. Different areas of the lake, the fish have been seeming to act a little bit different. Here in the upper end, I was out a couple days ago, and they were chasing the bait, and the most aggressive I've seen in a while. And I don't know if it's because you might have noticed since you've been out quite a bit lately, the watercolor has finally kind of cleared up just a little bit.
It's getting better. Yeah,
so I think that's what's got them turned on, where they're seeing that bait a little bit better and reacting to it, as to where that bait is cold muddy. That you bounce it off their nose.
Right. You have to aggravate them sometimes, but I'm excited to get started. He's going to teach us a lot today, so stay tuned, folks. Okay, folks, we're going to get started, and as usual, man, that sun's right in our eyes, but as usual, I'm going to ask Matthew to get down here and show us his Live Scope settings. I'm going to use the other camera, try to let you see how he likes to set his up. If you don't mind, Matthew, let's get down there.
You got a lot of stuff real similar probably to how I like to run my gain right around 51, 52, and that's why I do that for, is to look into structure, and it breaks the tree and the fish apart. A lot of people run their gain real high and their color gain real high, and it blurs it all together. Now when you get up there, and if he got off the tree, you're going to see him, and he's going to be even brighter than whenever I see him off the tree. But I feel like I can see fish in structure that way a lot better. I usually will go to my TVG is usually medium, my noise rejection's medium, so you got those the exact same thing. Sometimes if I'm pitching further out, I run my TVG off, because what it does is it changes the size of objects. It's a time varied gain is what it is, and it changes the return. So everything, you know, if you have it completely off, a 1.5 pound fish might look like a 2-pounder. But whenever you start turning it up, you'll start seeing the differences in those, and your jig will get harder to see. It kind of depends on what you get used to and what you like.
Right. You're
running on green, that's what I like too. Your color gain's on 75. I like to run my color gain a little more down. I run a 76 series.
Right.
You're running a 86
12
series. Yeah, 86 12. I can tell that this is far to none the best screen with the best resolution, and I've spent many hours behind my 76 series, and I can assure that this thing is you know, the next step up. I definitely will probably be getting one now that I see how nice it is.
I've just cost you money, huh?
Yeah. We'll keep it right around 66, kind of in between, so you can see stuff too. You know, color gain and the difference between color gain and gain gain is sensitivity, color gain is contrast.
Right.
So all your other graphs that you've been using for years that you guys see sensitivity and contrast, this is the exact same thing. Their terminology is different.
Different term.
And I don't know that, your contrast doesn't change because you're not looking at shadows. Whenever you're looking at side imaging, you contrast and you really tune it in. Well, you're seeing a lot of the shadow, and that's what you can clean that image up that away from off of that. It's going to affect your fuzz maybe around the fish just a little bit. So more than likely, you're going to find a happy medium, and that's the happy mediums, I feel like from 60 to 75.
Okay.
So you got I run my distance. It just depends. I like searching. I fish on 30 quite often.
Right.
But I'll search on, sometimes I'll search on 40, 50. You can see some spots out there. None of those are solid enough probably to be crappie. That one down there by the bottom kind of looked like it might have been one.
Okay.
We're out in a creek channel right now, so we're just kind of starting off things and seeing what the fish are maybe doing, if they're up in the water column, down in the water column, if they're far up a creek or out in the mouth of it. That's kind of how I start things off all the time.
All right.
But
so we've got the gain, color gain, TVG, noise reject, and so that's basically the basic setup. Now, as far as depth range, do you usually run it just whatever the bottom depth is, or you leave a constant depth? Or
so today we're probably. I last time I was out, I caught fish in 5-6 foot of water, which was just last week. But more than likely, we're going to be in 12 foot of water most of the time today, to maybe even 20. The thing when you get into this shallow water, if I were to run it up to right at the bottom, when you see a pound fish now, that thing is going to look
huge, right?
So what you want to do is you kind of to scale, or not really, you kind of portionalize it. Right. I just keep it at, let's say 15. I usually double my depth that I am in once I get below 10 foot.
Okay.
So once I'm in 10 foot, let's say 7 foot, I'm going to be around 14, 15.
I see.
And that's generally how I keep it. That way, when you move out into the deeper water, it's still going to show the size to the proportion it was, instead of bringing it up and down.
Sure. All right. Well,
that's most of my. That's all my. There's nothing too special about what I do, or any of the guys that are really top of the game are doing. It's positioning yourself in the right places and the right time.
All right. Well, let's go fishing.
There's one. You guys. You can see how round and almost like a football that crappie looks out there. We'll see if I can.
And so that's what you're looking for, a shape like that right there.
Yeah, you had several fish there, and I can make out that was a crappie for sure. They're pretty spooky today. I mean, we didn't get. I got a jig just barely got close to him. And he took off. Oh boy! I'll probably run right over this one. I wish I would have noticed that one.
Oh.
I think I spooked him too. Well, I just kind of rolled right over that one. That was a real. Ooh, there he is.
There he is.
They're not very aggressive.
Oh, there he comes.
Ooh.
Oh.
Barely bumped. I'm going to have to go to a hair jig.
And so now that fish saw your jig and turned and came after it, and I noticed you kept it moving.
Yeah, I tried to.
You want him to chase it.
Yep. I don't want him, you hold it right there, they just kind of come up a lot of times and then just lose interest in it. Oh boy. This is a hair. Ow. Maybe sure. Just trying to get right. It's one of them days where you gotta get right on their nose. That's a nice fish.
Yeah, it is.
Not huge.
You just bring that right over the top of him.
Yeah, I might. I mean, if they don't spook from, they hear that trolling motor. As soon as you buzz that trolling motor, is whenever I'm noticing they're kind of starting to get aware.
Right.
They're almost asleep out here. They're just almost just dormant.
Now, as that sun gets up overhead, do you think it'll make them more active?
Yeah, I think the best bite from, like, let's say the end of November through...
Oh, there he comes. There he is. Oh, pig. Very nice. Wow. That's a beaut. Let me get my scale out here. We'll weigh a few of these.
Yeah. That's
wow.
160 probably.
160? Hold that up there. Let me get in here and I'll get the scale out. Let's see. 185.
180. I was thinking 160.
Actually, it settled on 180. 180. Nice fish. Wow, folks, look at that. Big old fat, just roaming out there.
There's a little bit better one.
Yeah, that's up high too. Now see, that fish isn't 3 feet deep. Come on, fish. He's looking at, there he is. Oh yeah, dandy. Wow.
That's a nice fish.
You bet it is. We'll put him on the scale. Wow.
Pretty one.
Very nice. Let's weigh it. Look at that fish, folks. Another good one.
You know,
and that fish was right up there 3 feet deep.
Well, and I have a place where I'd like to go, you know, we're going to target black crappie. And the black crappie right now will probably be about the deepest they'll be.
Really?
And they'll be on trees, though.
158.
158. That's not a bad fish.
No, it's not a bad fish at all. So even in this cold water, those fish will be up there just roaming around. It looks like a decent fish there.
Yeah, but I'm at his tail end. There, I'm not. Oh, man.
Oh, come on. He's coming. There you go. Oh, another good fish. Man, oh man. Wow. Folks, we haven't been out here 15 minutes, I'd say. I don't know.
Yeah, they're just kind of scattered. They're not necessarily... There's a little bit of a pattern to them. They're in about 10 foot of water. They're in the creek channel itself.
160. Another nice one.
In a creek. So you got so many different creeks and styles of creeks. You got flat creeks, you got narrow, steep creeks, and then you got, you know, creeks that are deep but they're flat.
Right.
And you can kind of put a little bit of a pattern together on the creek style.
Right.
And go run around and find the same depth of water and the same, you know, midway back in the creek and catch fish in several of those creeks. I mean, that's the thing. You know, Ronnie Cap's, one of his my favorite saying that he has is, you know, one fish can be a fluke, two fish, you've got a pattern.
Right.
And you were talking about Tommy Scarless earlier.
Right.
He could catch a fish, and he learned so much from that one fish. You know, I learned a long time ago in here that we probably ought to have moved already, but when you keep seeing some fish, it's really hard to move.
It's in the detail, obviously, and that's what makes the difference I've learned between the best fishermen, and it just not tournament fishermen, just fishermen in general, is attention to detail. And you pick up on more details than I ever even think about. I mean, you're talking about the differences in the contour of a creek channel. You know, a creek channel is kind of a creek channel to me, but you see all these minute differences and you pattern it and stay with it, and that's what makes the difference in the best fishermen and just fishermen. Now that fish right there, is that a crappie?
That's a crappie.
Yeah.
I'm gonna slow down, and you know, there's some stumps. Slow down and get pointed into the wind and get set up on one of them. this is the best scenario. We got a little wind to keep us off of them.
Right.
We're not going to blow over them as easy.
You need a little wind to help you control the boat.
Yep, dead slick is tough to me.
Right. That's what everybody says. And I find that to be true, too. I mean, you just can't stop once you get going.
And he's still there. There's times where it's kind of frustrating because you can't see him, but they're still there. He's just really faint right now. That can be you could turn your TVG off and you're going to see him maybe just a little bit better, but it's really just the angle you're at. That's why when I go by a stump, I like to float by it and keep looking at it. And if I see a fish, I might not necessarily back up and stop instantly. I might go up and turn around and remember that general area and come up to it real slow and fish it.
Just kind of circle back instead of stopping and backing up. And
yeah,
there you go.
It's big.
That's a nice fish, though. So if you turn the TVG up,
those are going to get fainter.
They're going to get fainter.
Yep. You're not going to see them as good. That looks like a pretty nice fish.
Yeah, it does.
There. Should be a fish over a pound, And he might not get on him, might take a couple tries, he might spook.
So you're just going to just keep throwing at him as long as he'll let you and bring it right over him?
And if he takes off, it takes off. It's kind of how they've been. And I already told myself we need to move.
Now you're saying that because these fish are not that active?
Yeah, you come back to them in an hour or so, they might just be totally different, act totally different.
And so just because these fish here are not that active,
doesn't mean down the lake a couple miles, go try something different kind of contour.
Right.
Real deep, steep, rocky stuff where they could be pushing shad against it's a lot of just you develop a theory and go try and realistically it depends on what you want out of fishing. Right. But I want it to be wrong, that way I have to try again. If it just worked, everything worked every time, I just don't think it'd be that fun. I don't think you would you'd do it. Or I wouldn't. One of my favorite things is to go to new lakes. I mean, I love doing that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love being here on my kind of home lake, but it's fun traveling around and trying different lakes. There,
yeah, he's looking at you. There he comes. Oh, yeah, that's a nice fish, too. Wow. My goodness. That's a stud.
It's a real good fish.
Wow. What do you think that fish weighs?
He's probably in the 170. Oh, I think he's a real big, great big fish.
To you, that's not a great big fish. To me, that's a really good fish.
I seen somebody put on a fishing page on Facebook that they had a 240 yesterday out of Truman, which is a huge one.
171. Very good fish. Caught a 240 yesterday, huh?
Yeah, I seen
wow.
That. We had a picture of it on a scale.
Look how black the tip of that fin is.
That's kind of different, ain't it?
Yeah, that's neat. Great fish. I'm going to put a few of these in the box just to take some pictures later, but these fish are all going back in the lake. All right, folks, the wind's kind of gotten up a little bit out here. I'm not sure how that's affecting my microphone, but we're going to pick up and move to a different spot, see if we can get out of the wind a little bit and see if we can find some more fish.
Yep.
All right, so we've moved over and we're back in the creek channel again. We're following it on the map and we're just looking for open water fish.
So you got the main river channel, you got a big creek channel, a secondary creek, I guess you could say. Now we're in like a third dairy creek channel. A third creek channel off of the main river.
All right.
So I'm just doing stuff just a little different than what a lot of people do. Just try in and check in and try on airing.
That's a good fish, isn't it?
Yeah, that looks like a nice fish. Down about 10 foot. We're in about 12 foot of water. You can see I'm fine tuning the live scope back and forth to get it right to where I get that jig within a foot of him at least.
Right. You're getting that fish good and bright and getting your jig good and bright, and then you're lined up on him.
Yep.
Right?
Because if you're off him a little bit, and just imagine him down there 10 foot, there's not much light penetrating down there.
Right.
It's fairly dark on him, I'm sure.
In this water, we've got about, what?
2.5 inches,
yeah,
3 inches of visibility.
3-4 inches max of visibility.
Yeah, 4 inches tops for sure. I'm just off to his left side. Got a little bit of a breeze. Just getting set up on him is the main deal. And he just decided to get paired up with another crappie.
Yeah.
A smaller one. You can tell. You can see the size difference in those two. Well, now this is where a heavier jig head would make a difference for that.
Being able to get down on him quicker, that deep.
I'm not that mad at him though. If it is a tournament setting, I might follow that fish down there in the mud like that and keep after him. But we're just out here having fun.
Too many fish.
Yeah, there's so many fish.
Now, you've caught quite a few fish this morning, and obviously we've seen a lot of fish and put it on a lot of fish that didn't bite it. So that would tell you to maybe downsize, like you say, if you were in a tournament.
Yeah.
We weren't out here just kind of messing around.
For sure, I would have downsized, and I might go to a small plastic to start off with.
Yeah.
You know, a little Bobby Garland, one of the itty bitty bobbies.
Really?
Garland.
That small?
Yeah, I use that stuff quite a bit, especially when you're chasing black crappie. The black crappie like really small stuff for some reason. I think it's because they eat a lot of invertebrates. They eat a lot of bugs, and I think that's stuff with black crappie you can get pretty specific with in clear water is a real light colored stuff or browns. Browns and blacks, stuff that resembles bugs.
Right. So if you go that light, do you put a weight above it to help you control it, or?
And I do it a little different. I put 2 bobber stops.
Right.
I put a tungsten bullet weight, anywhere from a 1/16 to an 1/8 usually. I've went to a quarter a few times. And then after that, I put a bobber stop on the top, slide the weight on, and then I put a bobber stop on the bottom, and then I tie my jig. That way I have no crimps, nothing nicking the line.
Right.
Because a lot of times then if I'm fishing clear water, I've no leaders or anything like that. It's just straight fluorocarbon.
So you're fishing braid today?
Yep.
What braid?
I'm fishing K9. This is 10 pound.
Yeah.
With using smaller stuff, I went to a smaller diameter braid this winter, but generally in the summer, and I'm fishing 8s and stuff a lot, I'm fishing a 20-pound braid.
Okay. And you say you'll go to a fluorocarbon line under what conditions?
A foot of visibility.
Clear water.
Yeah. Clear water.
So you're looking at this fish right here?
I think it is. It's kind of a goofy angle. I'm pretty sure that's crappie. It is. It's a big one.
Big one?
Yep, it is.
Oh, there he comes.
That's a good one.
Oh, that's a dandy. Yes, sir. Wow.
As big as I thought he might be. But
he's a good one.
you haven't seen one in a while. That's one thing I can say about the size differences and stuff. When you haven't seen one in a while, it's really hard to tell the difference in a 1.5 pound and 1 3/4 fish.
Right.
But when you're in a bunch of 1.5 pound, 1 3/4 fish, you can definitely tell.
Well, that's a dandy. I mean, nice fish. We're going to see how nice.
Him in the 170.
Now, you saw that fish. We were moving pretty good because we were moving on up here to a different area.
Mm-hmm.
You reversed the trolling motor.
Yep, and I made sure I
backed
didn't
up.
blow the prop wash towards him. I wanted, you get your angles right and you don't blow the prop wash on them because you'll watch prop wash go down 6, 7 feet sometimes.
And then you backed up, positioned yourself in the wind, got back on him, and caught him.
Yep.
171. No, 176. Nice fish. Now, is that 2 fish there
That's
together?
2. Yeah, there's a little one, but there's a little bit better fish right there on it. Just past him. You know, you can tell that first one's probably a 9-inch crappie. That other one's probably a fish a little over a pound. He decided he was going to take off right there. I was a little left. I'm left-handed, so I run my transducer on the left side. See, this changes all the angles.
Sure.
I'm falling out of the angle all the time as to where, with it on the left side, I'm falling into it.
Right.
And that's one thing I can say. If you are left-handed, you put it on the left side, and if you're right-handed, put it on the right side.
Yep. Oh, there he comes. Oh, man.
It. He's coming back towards the boat and left, so I'll drop it real close. See if I can let it float out towards him. Change the angle of the rod a little bit. There's just a little ride of my bait. Boy, he was active. I
thought he was going to drill it. And he's moving, and you're moving. You're staying on him.
Yeah, you'll kind of get a feel for it after you do it a while.
You're constantly adjusting the speed on the trolling motor. If he takes off, you take off. If he slows, then you slow and fish him. Here he comes. There he comes. Oh, there he is. Oh, yeah.
And look where I caught it. So that fish lunged for it and missed it. And when my timing when I set the hook, I got him down in the bottom of the gill.
Yeah, nice little fish right there. What do you think that is? Pound?
Yeah, pound
30. Yeah. Let's see. We were wrong. 149.
There we go.
Wow.
We're at 6 fish with almost 10 pounds. So
990, yeah, and 6 fish.
Ooh. Oh boy. Oh, back.
All right, so you get spotted one out there as we're starting to move. You've backed up, and there he is.
Trying to float this jig into him.
Oh!
Man, he wasn't there. I figured he might have it. That is a big one. Now that, I mean, to me, right now, I'm going to say that's going to be another in the 180s. Possibly a little bigger. Let's just see what he does. Oh!
Man, what is he doing?
Come up and just nosed it. He just shoved it upwards.
But he's still hanging around, isn't he?
I think this is that other one.
Is that a different one?
Oh, look. He's going to go up to that
He's going to eat that shad. Oh. You saved that shad's life.
If I can get on him, pretty active fish.
There he is. Oh, yeah.
That one ain't as big as
Oh, that's a decent fish, though. Really decent fish. Yeah, we'll weigh that one.
Not quite as big as I think that other one was, but that'll probably be a 140.
You're right, 147. So that's 7 fish that are 1146.
That's not bad.
Not bad at all. Are you kidding? Absolutely. Great fish. Let's talk about live bait. You're in a tournament. You can fish live bait or artificial bait. Are you a believer in live bait, or?
I'm gonna have them with me because it can be the difference between winning and losing.
So will you typically start out with live bait?
Nope. I usually just use a jig, and then like these fish where we're at now, they're so uninterested. I mean, I'd run a minnow for sure.
You'd go to a minnow to get them.
Yeah, I think they.
You think they'll hit a minnow a lot easier than they will artificial bait?
Yep.
Usually.
But I've also seen them where they don't.
Yeah.
When they're real active and they're reacting to a bait, I think a little color on their contrast a little different, and I think they can react off it a little bit better.
Now, if you're fishing live bait, will you put it on a jig, or will you just fish a straight hook? Or
it just depends. If it's a light bite, but they want the minnow, I'm gonna run an Aberdeen with a weight, you know. And,
Yeah.
But if they're pretty active, I'm gonna run a jig head.
Yeah.
You get you get them in a lot easier on just a jig head. Running a.
There he comes.
Oh,
Oh!
never even touched it. Actually, that's a really nice fish too.
I thought he was there. Wow. Oh, now you got him shimmering. There he is. They start that shaking. That's a good fish. Let's weigh that baby too. Very nice. Wow. Yep, dandy.
Pretty one.
What do you think that is?
That's probably maybe a 150.
Something's had a hold of the back of him too.
Yeah. Now that looks more like a mark that something actually got a hold of.
Yeah, it looks like
that's where just he's got a crooked tail.
No, something's had a hold of him. 163. Good fish.
Grade's a 147, so
yeah,
gives us a little bit. But
oh yeah.
Yeah, 160.
Boy, they're healthy on this lake. You got him pulled off of it a good ways.
But he just won't eat it.
Well, look at him just swim after it. Oh, now he's coming. There he comes. That's a good one. He followed it long enough. That's black.
A black crappie. You know,
yeah.
I was talking about that if we were going to go down the lake and target some black crappie. And what I was saying, they're up in the water column on the trees. Boy, that's a pretty
fish.
That
is a beautiful fish.
Nothing huge. Won't upgrade us, I don't think, any.
I can get a hold of him. Look at that, folks. They go nice fat black crappie. Boy, those are pretty fish.
I was talking about them earlier, though, and especially you go down the lake, down the river towards the dam, and the water gets a little clearer. And those black crappie like that clearer water a little bit.
Yeah.
But they're sitting up in the water, and that one was sitting up high in the water column. And
he followed you a while before he committed.
Boy, yeah.
Let's see what he weighs.
He will be 138.
138, you say?
Oh, I was wrong.
145.
Solid fish, though.
Very good fish. It won't help our total, but it's a good fish. Okay, folks, it's about 1 o'clock. We're going to call it a day. I've got some stuff I got to get done this afternoon. Matthew caught some nice fish today.
Yeah, some dandies. I'm going to send them back down here in the water.
Yep, we're going to release them. I appreciate you coming and sharing your knowledge with us. You've taught us a lot. I've learned a lot from.
There's a lot I'd like to get, and we should shoot another one sometime. But a lot I wanted to talk about and focus on, and we ended up kind of not running too far from where we launched. Actually,
it's a little chilly.
It is. About 27 is what I had on my truck this morning.
Yeah.
We primarily stayed in. We actually fished a little unorthodox compared to what most of the Truman Lake fishermen fish today. Fished a little bit of creek channels, out in the middle creek channel, a creek channel in a creek, and most of our fish were that were bigger were in the creek channel, so they weren't necessarily up on the edges. They're just in the middle of it, floating, suspended.
Just suspended fish, yeah.
Just fish they're just cruising around eating. We're getting ready to go into the cold winter months, and
what do you expect these fish to do in the next few weeks assuming this temperature just keeps dropping and it gets true winter pattern?
A true winter pattern, yeah. They'll probably get a little more on a ledge, something defined.
More vertical.
It just depends on the area of the lake you're in. A lot of these fish are goofy. Like we've caught fish 3 foot down. We've caught fish in 7 foot of water. But your primary pattern that you're going to run is, probably 12 foot of water. Coming into the next couple months, you're going to probably be the mouths of the creeks. Little channel swings. That's something that I really focus on, because what it does is it congregates the fish in there where they're running bait back and forth. You know, if you can find a bank that it swings into, that it slopes into real kind of slow, and then it falls off, those are some of the best ones that I've ever found on Truman Lake. The Osage arm seems to have a lot more of that because a lot more of the Osage arm is steep. We were fishing the Grand Arm today, and it's got a lot more flat stuff in it. But we didn't get to fish a whole lot of big creeks, and then another thing is pockets. Main lake pockets right off the river channel seem to be really, really good later into the winter. And you know, those fish just get in them and they stage, and then they call, you know, a pre-spawn. You know, they kind of pre-spawn. They might move up a little more into the pocket, but then spring come and they just spawn right there. Those fish stay in that and they live there, and you can catch them 12 months out of the year around places like that.
Well, we appreciate all the information. Believe me, it's helped me a lot, and I know it's helped these folks. If you guys enjoyed this video, I hope you'll subscribe, hit the bell below to be notified of future videos. I'm going to keep trying to do some of these Truman Lake's Best series, although I'm not sure we can top what we've had today. Thank you, Matthew.
Hey, thank you.